Not everybody is Ibra. I don't really waste my energy on the defender. The defender is there to stop me. I am there to go through him. 1 against 1, I have to destroy him. That is how I think. My mental is bulletproof. Doesn't matter who is in front of me. I know what I need to do, and I know I can do it. Most of the time, it's perfect.
He's the best player we ever had.
The biggest sportsman ever in Sweden.
The star of our team.
Extravagantly talented.
If he comes into the room, the whole room is Zlatan.
He doesn't forget that football's entertainment.
One of a kind, and he's outside the box.
He's a little bit crazy, a little bit arrogant.
He's not the easiest person to handle.
People want to believe that he's just this crazed megalomaniac.
Whatever he thinks about you, he'll say it to your face.
You like him or you hate him.
I came from so-called, let's say, ghetto, Rosengård, and where a lot of foreigners were staying. Came a lot of fugitives in that moment to Sweden, to Malmö then, Rosengård, where I was living, and for me it was paradise. I had everything there. I had a football pitch, and we were playing football every day.
The environment he was living in, for sure, he had some influence on his way of playing and his way of being on the field, for sure. And I think he have gone the hard way, you know, learned he had to have very, how do you say, sharp elbows, you know, because it was a rough neighborhood he came from.
The personality of people here in Malmö. You always say what you think. You don't care about people liking you or not. We are who we are, and if you like us, you like us. And I think that's the mentality of all of us. And then maybe Zlatan is a little bit more extreme.
I represent Rosengård. Rosengård made me the one I am. I brought everything with me from Rosengård, and I still keep it in me. I am still the one that was raised and grew in Rosengård. And I'm very proud for that. I have nothing to be ashamed of.
Born in Sweden, his father was a Bosniak Muslim, his mother a Croatian Catholic. Zlatan Ibrahimovic was perhaps always destined to be different. But like so many others, football was an early love, and he was soon playing for his hometown club, Malmö.
I played with him in the youth, so it was a little bit crazy then also. Maybe even more crazy.
He talks in his autobiography about parents starting a campaign against him because he was from the wrong part of town and thought of as a bit rough and a bit difficult. So he had to stand up for himself to succeed.
Some of the leaders with the under-17 team, they had their fights with Zlatan, but that's really a Malmö thing, really, because I'm also born in Malmö. And some of us from my generation of player, we're about the same. You know, people from Malmö, we are not impressed with too many people.
They were all against me. They didn't want me to succeed. And I was foreigner at that time. In Malmö, it was impossible to make it if you were a foreigner, if you wouldn't play in the national team. And even there was difficult. But I broke all the walls. I opened all the doors for everybody that comes out now. And that is different, that has a different background.
Stealing bicycles to make his way to training at Malmö. I think it's something that even now he's such a big star. It's something that doesn't seem completely incongruous with him and the way he is, because it's that sort of mischievousness to get the job done, that sort of invention to get the job done. So of course he had to stop when he found out one day that he'd accidentally stolen the assistant manager's bike.
It was my bike. Yeah, it's true.
Ulla Jelstad, the second coach, he came up and he said, has anybody seen a bike outside the locker room? It looks like this, that, and that. And I didn't say nothing, of course. And after the training, I said, I think I saw your bike. And I was like, okay, yeah, I borrowed it for 2-3 days. And after the training, I gave it back because every training I came to, I didn't put it outside the locker room. I put it like 100 meters from the locker room, so nobody would take it from me.
Today we can joke a little bit, and I think it's maybe when he go to Ajax or something, he send me a little card and say sorry for the bike.
He is a maverick because he decided early, I want to be something. I want to be something in football. And immediately when he came here to Malmö, he started that trip.
I brought everything I learned in Rosengård because I had a local team there I was playing for, and the way we were playing there was in our own way. We technical football, we like to dribble, having competition, who can dribble better, who can shoot harder, all the individual things.
He was doing a lot of more tricks and a little bit show off, you know, more freestyle kind of football.
When I came to Malmö, they were like, no, you shouldn't play like that. That is the wrong way to play. But I was so eager, and I kept everything that I did before I came to Malmö and learned the new stuff that I needed to learn. But I never gave up with my things, and that's why I think I am the player I am today. But many were complaining all the time. No, you shouldn't do this. You're such an ego. You're here, you're there. I was hearing a lot of stuff. But I said, I listen, but I don't listen.
He's as far from the archetypal Swedish player as it's possible to be. He kind of developed his own style, based a little bit on seeing Brazil at World Cups, but based on his own idea of what he thought a footballer should be. If he's himself as a personality, he's totally himself as a footballer as well, and he's a total groundbreaker in that sense.
He's a fantastically strong character. I mean, if he comes into the room, the whole room is Zlatan. And that was already the case from the start. I mean, he came in, he's a big, strong boy, and he got into his opinions.
He was ready for a big move from Malmö, and he knew there were other offers on the table, so just no way he was going to entertain a trial with Arsenal.
I had a meeting with Wenger. There was a lot of talks, and I think Wenger said it was a misunderstanding. How I remember it, it was like he wanted to see me in a trial, and my club said no, Malmö at that time, and I was like thinking the same. Either you want me or you don't want me. What am I doing here? I waste time for nothing.
Zlatan's big move did come in 2001 as he joined Ajax, becoming Sweden's most expensive footballer. But his early days in Amsterdam were not always straightforward.
Immediately, he takes control. I mean, he comes in, and here, I'm Zlatan, and I want to be something.
The first time he come to Ajax, he have a coach with co-Adrianza. It's more military. Do that, do that. It's not the Zlatan way.
He didn't learn me nothing. I had the image of being bad boy, all the negative stuff, and I needed to work 10 times more than the other to convince everybody and to bring out my quality. And I believed in myself. I had a lot of confidence, and I never gave up.
Under the guidance of Ronald Koeman, Zlatan thrived at Ajax and scored one of his most iconic goals in a game against NAC Breda.
It was not bad. Well, it was a perfect goal in that moment, because it was happening a lot of things during the week, a lot of talks, and I think we won that game 6-2, if I remember. I did like 2 goals, 4 assists, and one of them I dribbled like I don't remember how many, 6, 7 guys.
A prime example of early Zlatan, really. Zlatan, the individualist, taking control, leading from the front. At that point, you know, he was used to everything flowing through him.
A few days prior to the game, Zlatan had clashed with Ajax teammate Rafael van der Vaart during an international between Holland and Sweden.
Van der Vaart thought he deliberately injured him. Zlatan was quite affronted by this, but fronted it out, as was his way.
They would try to attack me, From the journal, from the media, and like they wanted to make me a bad boy, and that is something that has been following me everywhere, but that is something I'm used to. Instead of getting affected, I'm using the situation, and in that moment I was using it because I knew what would happen. I would score, I would do a fantastic game, perfect game, and I would leave.
To stand up to someone like Van der Vaart, who was a big name from the academy, who'd been fated from an early age, was a big deal.
He was complaining and he wanted something else, but he didn't get it. So for me, that kind of fights, that is what triggers me. That is what I like. That is my area.
See him and he a little bit arrogant and yeah, always scored goals that is different, play different. His type of player you don't see so often. So big, athletic, and still that kind of control with the ball.
Italy soon saw much more of Zlatan. Having joined Juventus in 2004, he led them to consecutive league titles, whilst winning the first of 10 Guldbollens, the prize awarded to Sweden's best footballer.
After Koeman, I came to Capello, and that was the mastermind. That was the guy who changed my mentality. And from there, I became like a machine.
To do that in a Juventus dressing room that was full of big personalities, with huge personalities, as well as huge players, was something that was very, very impressive. It's easy to say that Mavericks are people who just wander off and do their own thing. I think he found that balance, particularly with Capello and Mourinho, about embracing the individualisms that made him so special, but buying into the idea of working for collective glory.
Zlatan flourished in Italy, but did so without compromise.
He does play on the edge, there's no doubt about that. He's always chirping defenders, he's always having a little chat, and the language barrier was never an issue. He's really, really good at winding defenders up. I think that's a huge part of that for him, and I don't think that will ever...
Mourinho was also a mental master brain. He learned you a lot. He brings out the best of you. As a coach, you need to have a feeling for the game and for the players. You need to be manipulative. You need to know what to do, what to say, to bring out the best from the player.
It's more that the coach has to get along with Zlatan than Zlatan with the coaches. It's like he has his personality and he has his way of being, and sometimes when the coaches cannot handle that, it gets problems, and that's been the same way the whole his career.
From Inter, Mourinho, I got Guardiola, which I think is a fantastic coach, but as a person, I have no comments about that. And that is facts, because I went through it, and there is nothing I make up. First 6 months was amazing. Everything was like going good and that. And then something happened with the coach. I still don't know what happened, but I was in a different position and I learned from that.
He had problems with Messi's preeminence. I think he had problems with the fact that he could see after a while that this wasn't working, that Barcelona were going to funnel efforts back through Messi rather than try and create effectively a two-man forward line, which is what they were doing with him.
He knew he could make an impact on the game and he could make the team better. And when he didn't get that fair chance to be part of the team, they made him disappointed and frustrated.
In Barcelona, there was a Guardiola way, not the team way.
I took it in a different way. I was learning. I became even stronger mentally, and that is how I took it. And I'm ready if it would happen again, which I don't believe it will.
Well, Zlatan's argument is that it didn't work out because he didn't fit with the philosophy, that he didn't fit with the manager and with Messi.
And many coaches think you should not have players that says always what you think. And if you look at the incident in Barcelona with Guardiola, I think that was the problem.
If there was a problem, it takes two persons to resolve it. And in this case, it was only one that wanted to resolve, and he didn't even have the problem. And the one that had the problem, he was not able to resolve it. So that I don't call a man.
Not afraid to say what he thinks, and sometimes people take it wrong, and sometimes it's maybe a little bit on the edge of what you can say, but at the same time that's how he's been since he was 15.
Of course that can upset people. It can upset the media, it can upset the coaches working with him, can upset his teammates. He's doing that because he wants to win, and he's a winner, and he's not accepting to lose football matches, and people are not doing their best.
That is maybe a problem for me, because I always look and I demand that they have to do what I'm able to do. And I remember Tassotti, the second coach in Milan I had. He said, Ibra, maybe what you're looking for you're not able to get, because not everybody is Ibra.
2012, another country, another club, same old Zlatan.
The club has big ambition, big potential to be what they want to be, and they're on the way. And I'm very happy that I was here from the beginning, because now it's easy to come here. But when I came, nobody wanted to come. And even there I opened the doors. So the people that come now they know who they have to thank.
There was a huge degree of excitement in Zlatan's arrival from the very minute when he joined Paris Saint-Germain. I think there was a degree of fascination as well as delight that someone that extravagantly talented had arrived in Liga.
He's unique. Compared to all the other players, he has his own personality and style. He pushes those surrounding him to do more. And he's never satisfied.
Everybody thinks that it's very hard to work with Zlatan, because everyone thinks he's got a very strong personality. And yes, he does have a big personality. He's a strong character.
I think this is why some people don't like him that much, because of this very strong personality. But I think Zlatan is very straightforward. And for me, that's a very positive thing. Whatever he thinks about you, he will say it to your face. He doesn't go behind your back.
You realise that he's played for big teams all over Europe during his career, and he's won a lot of trophies. And on top of that, he's got a great knowledge of the game. That's why I love chatting with him. He's the opposite of who people think he is. For me, he's very easy to manage.
After a game at Lille, when the players were coming out of the dressing room through the mix zone onto the coach, Zlatan turned around and said, "No one speaks." And all the players just followed him. And I think a lot of people saw this as an act of extraordinary arrogance, but it's just him being playful again, making fun of his image of this sort of ogre who rules everything around him.
Maybe sometimes it gets wrong, but that's why people always also like him. It's funny to hear, and it's always something to write about.
When the day comes when Zlatan say thank you and goodbye to the football, also the Swedish newspaper have a big problem.
I don't care about them. They need me, I don't need them.
In the run-up to Euro 2012, Zlatan was named captain of Sweden.
It's difficult to describe his status in Sweden because it's huge, you know, it's the biggest profile we ever had. There is two parts of it. Most of them really love him, and then there is some parts that cannot stand it. When you have that personality and that carries character, I think it's always like that. You have haters and you have lovers, you know.
I am very honored to be the captain of Swedish national team, because I think that is the biggest thing that can happen to a football player, and especially what I went through and the background that I have. But I am there. I am there with number 10, and I have the captain on me. And I'm very proud that I am representing Sweden in that way. So in the way I want to represent them, and that's by playing football.
He's the best player we ever had, but in the moment that's maybe our biggest problem, that he's too big for the national team. When he's not there, or maybe when he don't have a good day, there's no one else who's taking responsibility, because he always takes it. So maybe sometimes it can be too much of a problem when he's not there. At the moment he's Swedish football.
It's been Zlatan for 15 years now, and everything is about Zlatan. People, it's writing about him, people are talking about him, he's seen everywhere. If he's saying something, it's big headlines. So it's really difficult to think about Swedish football without Zlatan.
And when Sweden's new national stadium was opened in 2012, many pundits dubbed it the Zlatan Arena.
It's my arena. Who else? It should be my arena. I get disappointed if they don't give it in my name.
What makes Zlatan so compelling is that in an era, especially where players sometimes seem a little bit overcoached, when he's really connected with the modern game and with a collective philosophy, it's been very much on his own terms. He has remained Zlatan, if that's not too grand an expression, the whole of the time.
I think the best coach has been myself, because what I've gone through, I don't know how many players has gone through what I've gone through, and I don't mean only on the pitch. I mean outside also, everything that I went through, everything what I had against me. I didn't get anything for free.
He's a winner, always want to win. Maybe don't say the best things always to his players next to him. Some players can take it, some players maybe cannot take it.
You must win the matches, the European game, the cup titles, everything.
You like him or you hate him, it's nothing between.
You go to the national team, you must win on the training, everything. I think it's a little bit of a maverick.
Either you're a maverick or you're not. That's the way it is. But there is nothing you should look for. Focus on what you need to do, and the rest comes by itself.
They have all of us, and then maybe Zlatan is a little bit more extreme.
I represent Rosengård. Rosengård made me the one I am. I brought everything with me from Rosengård, and I still keep it in me. I am still the one that was raised and grew in Rosengård. And I'm very proud for that. I have nothing to be ashamed of.
Born in Sweden, his father was a Bosniak Muslim, his mother a Croatian Catholic. Zlatan Ibrahimovic was perhaps always destined to be different. But like so many others, football was an early love, and he was soon playing for his hometown club, Malmö.
I played with him in the youth, so it was a little bit crazy then also, maybe even more crazy.
He talks in his autobiography about parents starting a campaign against...
A lot of fugitives in that moment to Sweden, to Malmö then, Rosengård, where I was living, and for me it was paradise. I had everything there. I had a football pitch, and we were playing football every day.
The environment he was living in, for sure he had some influence on his way of playing and his way of being on the field, for sure. And I think he have gone the hard way, you know, learned he had to have very, how do you say, sharp elbows, you know, because it was a rough neighborhood he came from.
The personality of people here in Malmö, they always say what you think. You don't care about people liking you or not. We are who we are, and if you like us, you like us. And I think that's the mentality.
Talented.
If he comes into the room, the whole room is Zlatan.
He doesn't forget that football's entertainment.
One of a kind, and he's outside the box.
A little bit crazy, a little bit arrogant.
He's not the easiest person to handle.
People want to believe that he's just this crazed megalomaniac.
Whatever he thinks about you, he'll say it to your face.
You like him or you hate him.
I came from so-called, let's say, ghetto, Rosengård, and where a lot of foreigners were staying. came alive.
Because he was from the wrong part of town and thought of as a bit rough and a bit difficult. So he had to stand up for himself to succeed.
Some of the leaders with the under-17 team, they had their fights with Zlatan, but that's really a Malmö thing, really, because I'm also born in Malmö. And some of us, from my generation of player, we're about the same. You know, people from Malmö, we are not impressed with too many people.
They were all against me. They didn't want me to succeed. And I was foreigner at that time. In Malmö, it was impossible to make it if you were a foreigner, if you wouldn't play in the national team. And even there was difficult. But I broke all the walls. I opened all the doors for everybody that comes out now. And that is different, that has a different background. Not everybody is Ibra. I don't really waste my energy on the defender. The defender is there to stop me. I am there to go through him. 1 against 1, I have to destroy him. That is how I think. My mental is bulletproof. Doesn't matter who is in front of me. I know what I need to do and I know I can do it. Most of the time is perfect.
He's the best player we ever had.
The biggest sportsman ever in Sweden.
The star of our team.
Extravagant.